Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details. Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
In the spirit of reconciliation, the Theatre Thoughts podcast acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all traditional custodians of the land on which our episodes are recorded.
Highlight was Flex, but obviously Katy Perry and team sent me flowers.
I saw that.
I know, which was kind of wild. People who are like, how the heck did that happen? I did some groundwork on kind of messaging her management, and I have met Katy Perry 4 times. I'm a fangirl. If you've seen the show, you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. So that was honestly a highlight just at the end of the closing show to receive this bouquet that was shaped like a cherry.
Welcome back to a new episode of the Theatre Thoughts podcast, hosted by myself, Justin Clark, and featuring an array of Australia's best and brightest in the theatre industry and beyond. You can get full access to the podcast by signing up to our monthly email and joining the Theatre Thoughts Patreon community for as little as $3 a month. All the details can be found by heading over to our Instagram account at TheatreThoughtsAUS or our official podcast Instagram at TTPod_official. Let us know what you think of this episode by giving us a rating wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome everyone to our mid-season finale of the Theatre Thoughts podcast. We have with us an award-winning Pasifika Queer and Neurodiverse writer, performer and producer who's just recently got back from LA, which we'll talk about in a sec. She has 2 successful one-woman shows under her belt, Cherry and Unkissed, who also runs her own production company, Sour Cherry Productions, who will be bringing Saturday Girls to Belvoir's 25A this August. They strive to champion for underrepresented voices to be heard and create works that uplift and engage audiences in new and exciting ways. It's Sarah Carroll! Thank you for jumping on!
Yay! Thank you! Oh, man, you made my bio sound really exciting and cool.
It is
just
cool.
To hear oh, thanks. I'm like, oh my God, I did that?
Yeah.
I'm like, who is she? Who's that person you're talking about?
I've meant to add on at the end the little sparkle that you do. You do everything with a touch of sparkle and glitter.
I know, and you didn't, so...
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I'm just going to assume you just did that anyway. It'll come across in the audio.
Yeah, exactly. It will. I think people will realize that when they see my shows. They're like, oh, it makes sense.
Yes, there's the glitter right there. So you just got back from LA, where you were touring Cherry, which I managed to see, it was last year, wasn't it? As part of the Fringe.
Oh my God, last year.
Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah, exactly. How did it go? Tell me everything about it. What was the highlights? How did you go over there?
Oh my God. Highlight was Flex, but obviously Katy Perry and team sent me flowers.
I saw that.
I know, which was kind of wild. People who are like, how the heck did that happen? I did some groundwork on kind of messaging her management, and I have met Katy Perry 4 times. I'm a fangirl. If you've seen the show, you get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. That was honestly a highlight just at the end of the closing show to receive this bouquet that was shaped like a cherry,
No way.
Yeah, I didn't know until the next morning. And someone was like, you know what's shaped like a cherry? And I was like, no, I thought it was some rich bougie thing that like the
What I
famous
love
do.
about that is that they've obviously not just gone, oh, she's doing a show about you, Katy, let's just send her some flowers. They've gone, it's a show called Cherry. It's about you, yada, yada. So let's send her something cherry themed.
Yes, yes. And it came with like a little note, and they were all like, basically, her and her team were like, we're all rooting for you, we're on your side, like, so proud of you for, you know, putting yourself out there. So yeah, that was the cherry on top.
Oh.
Oop, she did it. But yeah, no, it was such a great experience doing Fringe. I wanted to do an international debut, and so it was either Hollywood or Edinburgh, of course.
Yes,
That's
of
the other,
course.
yeah. But with Katy Perry, it made sense to go to LA, obviously. And yeah, it was just amazing to be able to perform in America and like do some networking while I was over there. And a big thing I found about Hollywood Fringe that was so amazing was that they're really good at like fostering a community,
Yeah.
which was quite a shock for me. Because I was like, wow, LA like seems really scary, but it like everyone was so friendly, everyone's so passionate over there.
Right.
Like everyone wanted to come and see your shows, and they'd have little mixes at like a Fringe hub, and
That's so
I was like, oh my
cool.
God. Right. And so yeah, I made so many new friends and saw so many awesome shows, and everyone was like, yeah, like that's exciting that you're doing that. And I'm like, yeah, you too. Like it's just this atmosphere that's like so exciting to be in. So yeah, it was nuts. I think I'm still processing and recovering.
Yeah. Yeah. I was following your journey on Instagram, and I was loving, I want to talk about some of the things that you experienced in terms of the difference between LA and Australia, but I'll get to that in a sec, because I'd love to talk about yourself, introduce who you are for anyone who doesn't know you, and then talk about Cherry as well, and where this Katy Perry sort of obsession came from.
Yes, yeah. So I guess, well, yeah, ever since I was 13, I saw I Kissed a Girl on Rage. And yeah, kind of just like became obsessed. And I think in hindsight, also as someone I have ADHD, I'm neurodiverse, and also recently diagnosed with autism. Oh, slay, which is very exciting. But I think in hindsight, it was to do with that, like just kind of I just became obsessed with this one person and this world that she created. And I was also a very like lonely teenager, didn't have many friends. And so I kind of just latched on to Katy Perry, and then found this community online of like Katy cats. And then so just like became absolutely inspired by her and what she was doing. And I was like, I want to do that. Like, she's really cool. She's, you know, Katy Perry's all about like, believe in yourself and you can be anything. And I was like, yes, I can. I want to follow my dreams. So kind of lived that life. Like, I've traveled interstate to see her. I've traveled internationally to see her, met her 4 times, all that fun stuff. So I was just like, cool, I'm going to write a show about it.
Yeah.
And it was during COVID, and yeah, someone, I think it was a friend, I believe Alex Ketty, they had written a cabaret about Meryl Streep, which
right.
I hope they put, I know, and Alex, if you're listening to this, really make a revival.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Right? And so they did that, and they were like, just write a cabaret or write a one-person show about Katy Perry. And that's, I think, where it kind of started. And I was like, cool. So first the show was like more surface level of like me just talking about how obsessed I am with Katy Perry. And then I eventually got Nadia Townsend on board to dramaturg and kind of help me co-write. And then it kind of, started to become this deep dive into like obsessive fandoms and why I was obsessed and what it is to grow up with like a pop star.
Yeah.
And then what it means to be my own person and who that is.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like a little bit of the evolution.
That's so cool. And I guess, my kind of connection with Katy Perry is when I was a teenager. I remember seeing I Kissed a Girl as well. But from like my sort of perspective as just like a young boy, I watched it and it was like, I think it was part of my sexual awakening as like a young kid. And I was just like, who is this woman talking about kissing girls on MTV while I'm like in the gym trying to be like a manly man, you know? And I just see I Kiss a Girl up there. I'm like, what is going on with my life? But she's, and I like what you said about growing up with her, because I've had this discussion recently with all the Swiftie fans. Obviously, the whole ticket sale fiasco that went on, everyone was trying to buy tickets for her. And we had this discussion about how Taylor Swift, like, I personally, and the people are going to hate me for it, I personally think she's a bit overrated, but that's okay.
Oh, no, me too, but don't worry. I also will get cancelled for it. We'll get cancelled together.
Cancel
it's
together.
Great.
But I feel she's done something right because people have grown up with her and seen her mature and seen her digress as well in like different aspects of her life. And so she's created this image for herself that sells out audiences and stadiums all over the world. So I wholly appreciate that side of her. And I feel like it's the same for you with Katy.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I think the show, like I even kind of go through because there's different eras of like every pop star, right? And she did have her flop era, which was Witness, that like no one talks about that album. And she live streamed her life for 48 hours. She like went through a moment. It's okay. And in the fandom, like it was interesting exploring that because people left. Like genuine fans were like, I don't want to stand her anymore because like it's not the bubblegum pop thing. And then now her comeback is kind of like doing the Vegas residency and going back to the black hair because we all did miss it. And it's interesting, like kind of, I mean, I'm definitely still a fangirl. Like I'm literally going to Vegas in a few months again.
Are you really?
Show.
Oh my God.
I am, right? Like I literally am. And so like, that's what's with the show as well. It's like, she's still like a part of me. Like, even though I'm like, I need to let go, I am just a little less obsessed and attached, but I still am on Twitter and like will stalk, all of the fandoms, show research. And there are people who, are still there and have been there through that whole journey. And like, it's so fascinating that, you kind of grow up with this pop star through her whole career. And then some people are gone and some people are still standing like me.
Yeah.
So.
And then you make a show out of it.
And then I make a show out of it. And that's, Well, I was like, I know too much. Like, I have to do something with this information.
Yeah.
Like, it has to.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's worked.
No, it's worked so far. Like, you've taken off, like, heaps. Just from the Fringe last year. And then just seeing everyone jumping on board, I guess the cherry train, is just like...
Oh, I'm taking that.
Yeah, you take it. You take it.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
And just, it's really great to see because I personally love seeing new work and new independent work take off and people developing like fan bases. But this kind of ties back to what I wanted to ask before. How did you find LA different from Australia? Because I know in your stories you were posting a lot of stuff and I was like, ooh, that's great. And I was really latching onto it. So I'd love if you kind of expanded on that a bit.
Yeah. I think like, I don't know how the world's going to take this, but I'm like, all right, I'm going to talk about it. We're going to get like real about it. I think the main difference is there's definitely a tall poppy syndrome happening here in Australia.
Yeah.
And I think it's this kind of thing of when you're successful here, people often go, oh, cool. All right. Like, good for you. Or, there's sometimes like, I'm so happy for you, but it's not like a genuine, it's almost like it's this whole competition. And I think that also comes to this industry being quite small and, all of that kind of stuff. But it was interesting to be in America and having been in this industry where, like I definitely have had success here, like, which has been great. But then to go to LA and kind of, literally I knew 5 people like there and I had 5 shows.
Yeah.
And I ended up selling out 2 of those shows, which was nuts.
Yeah.
And I think it's because, I went there and the community was just like very open to embracing you and wanting to hear about your work. And like American audiences as well are like nuts. Like they give you everything.
Really?
Like, yeah, like for example, I mean, a big thing was like, so when I did Cherry in Melbourne, there was one show and I remember like the audience was kind of giving me nothing.
Yeah.
And I left and I was like, oh my God, I'm a flop. This is
Oh,
happening. I'm going through my
no.
flop era. Like it was so nuts. And even like my tech was like, yeah, it was a really weird audience. But they were like, but you were great. Like what? And I had a reviewer in that audience and I was like, oh my God, they're going to cancel me. Like, this is not good. And then the review ended up being like a great review. And then people would come up to after that show and were like, you're so funny. And I was like, so laugh? Like,
Yeah.
I find like,
Just,
yeah,
tell
right?
me. Like, give me feedback.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's like sometimes some audiences here like are very much like, if something's funny, they'll like in their head be like, that was funny, but like won't give anything.
Yeah.
And so, whereas in America, it's like a total opposite. Like I had audiences cackling and like commenting and like, yes, girl, like, woo. And I was like, whoa. And then like standing ovations at the end. I could get used to that. Love that. But yeah, it's just this community of support and, you know, it felt less of like a competition. Like I just felt really seen, to be honest, with my show. And here I kind of find like I'm often battling and like fighting to be seen all the time, even, you know, where I'm at, which is like, you know, I'm never lost on me. But I still feel like in this industry here, you're kind of constantly like going up ladders and then you get to a space and you're like, wow, okay, cool, I've made it. I like ticked off my goals. And then this industry's like, but maybe like, no, not yet. Like keep going. Or like, who do you think you are? Like, you know, and even just celebrating successes, like over there, you know, me being like, I sold out a show. They're like, yes, you did. And it also just as a creative, it's an amazing atmosphere to be in because you're just kind of being pushed up with everyone.
Yeah. I feel like it comes down to Americans being that very American, like out, proud, boisterous, loud. Like you can hear them wherever you go. Like I remember I saw a show, it was probably Choir Boy, I think. And there was somebody in the audience who was definitely American because like one of the main guys hit his high note and I heard from like somewhere in the audience, he's like, Slate, hit it. And I'm just like, I'm trying to watch the show right now. I was just, but I feel like it's that very American thing where it's like built in the audience to give that feedback, where I feel like in Australia we've still got this very like, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to enjoy the show. If I want to laugh, I will, but I don't want to be too loud because other people might like, you know, look at me. Yeah.
And I agree. I think, there were definitely some shows where I was like, I mean, for Cherry it works because I do have that audience, like, you know, interaction. And then I like close the fourth wall and I'm like, no, listen to me. And so I improv it. So I lived off it because I was like, this is everything. Like, this is what I want. But I think, maybe like there's also, you do need that happy medium, which I think is something Australian audiences could learn from.
Yeah, exactly.
Giving, I think just giving a bit because it's very vulnerable to put something on.
Oh, yeah, big time.
And then just be with nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, I did the post-show Q&A at Meraki literally like this week, and we were lucky enough to move out of the green room down to the gig bar. And so I was like in my head the entire time, like, am I performing or am I doing a podcast? So I was very conscious that there wasn't a lot of like noise coming from the audience, but then I was like, but it's not, you're not doing a performance, but you're doing a podcast. And I was like, in like these weird two minds sort of things. So it's a very strange sort of area to be in.
Oh, it is. Yeah. But I still, I think just if Australian audiences could just give a little more, that would be awesome.
Yeah, just go on. Well, you're also, talking of shows, you're also producing with your Sour Cherry Productions, Saturday Girls at 25A at Belvoir. So let's chat a little bit about that. So your production company, is that relatively new or you had that for a while?
Yeah, no, I literally just launched that this year.
Right.
So it kind of came from, because from Sydney Fringe onwards, I was kind of producing myself, like my one-person shows. And so I was like, well, I should probably just use this because I was like, well, they're successful. So it's, you know, it kind of came from that. And obviously the cherry thing has, you know, the cherry train. And so I don't actually know where sour cherry came from. I think I just needed cherry in the name.
Yeah.
And I don't know where sour cherry came from, but here we are. So that's all I have to say about that.
And so Saturday Girls, is that a new like an original piece, or is that based on a play of some sort?
Yes, no, it's a completely new work. So the kind of like two sentences to sum up. So it's like it's a tender, hilarious story about queer girlhood, high school sexual politics, and growing up in a world that's determined to box you in. So it's very queer female joy, I think, which is very exciting. We premiere we open in less than a month at Belvoir 25A.
I love 25A. I didn't actually know for a very long time that existed. And I think it is such a good thing that I feel like the Sydney theatre scene needs, to be connected to a pre-established theatre that is so well known, has so many big names such as Belvoir, to have that independent branch to it, I feel like it's so good.
Oh, it's so good. And I think, for me, kind of, I've definitely moved like more into producing and having that under like my toolbox. And I mean, this is like the first show that I'm kind of, that's not my own, like not my work as well. And I'm kind of just solely there as a producer. And actually, I mean, I've done some other producing stuff for other people's works, but I've always kind of come in like a little later in the process, and they're like, oh, here, or I've been attachment to something with like, I worked with like Performance Space as like a junior producer. So that's like very different. But this one, I'm like literally been there from beginning and will be there till end. So it's been a wild learning curve on like, what the heck?
Yeah.
But it's so great because it's like, great to have like Belvoir 25A under my belt, but also be connected with the whole team there. And for, Miranda, our writer, to have her work premiere at Belvoir is like nuts. It's so exciting.
And I think some of the best shows I've seen, like in the last 2 years, two of them I know off the top of my head have been in 25A. It was The Italians and Never Closer with my two.
The Italians, oh my God, I'm obsessed.
Yeah, it's great.
I agree.
I watched it recently on an ATL as well, Australian Theatre Live, and I was like, just as good. Still good.
Just as good?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's great.
I'm sorry, because speaking of the Italians, Brandon is in our cast.
Oh, amazing.
So I know, look at that. So look at that little, we're very excited to have Brandon. He actually came into the room. We haven't told him this, but I'm going to say it now. He came into the room and we were looking he was like actually the last for the character of Rory. I think he was the last person we saw like at our callbacks. And then we cast him. Like he actually walked out and we all looked at each other and we went, we're casting him.
That's so good. I love that. That's so good. I love a good audition story.
Right? And I just told his. So you're welcome, Brandon.
Well, one thing I did want to ask before I ask one of I guess like is my big question is you kind of touched on it with you turning into the producing role as well. But how do you kind of stay inspired and motivated, I guess, as a theatre artist, and what is it that keeps you coming back to the stage in like all these different roles?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a good question. Honestly, that is I think for me, I think it's always coming back to my why. I kind of have like a little, there's someone that I have to credit about this who told me to do it, and I'm so sorry. But someone kind of told me to brainstorm like what your why is. So why, like asking myself, why do I create work and what do I want to do in this industry? And so for me, which is kind of at the end of my bio, it's like kind of to create new and exciting work that inspires people, particularly coming from like underrepresented communities. And honestly, I think that always comes back, like when I'm writing a new work or like, feeling a bit of the jet lag or the burnout. I kind of always come back to that. And I do have like a little collage, like on my Pinterest board of like, what I want to achieve and, different photos that inspire me. And I think that's always what I come back to. And also, honestly, cheesy it sounds, but I always think about like little 13-year-old me who was like watching movies and was like, I want to be like a Hollywood star. And I'm like, we're working on it, baby.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
We're getting there. We're getting there. So yeah, I think just always coming back to my why and, always watching things that like, when I was growing up, like I love the like Y2K like movie canon, like the early 2000s films.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them problematic, I know.
Yeah.
But it was 2000, I get it.
Yeah.
But I love like a good girl chick flick and just kind of going, because a lot of my work is inspired from that. So
yeah, of course.
it kind of, I always go back to that. but it's hard.
Yeah,
Rest is great.
Yeah, rest is always good. Yes, it'll be good to have a little rest. Well, I mean, I'm heading over to Edinburgh Fringe soon, so I guess there's no.
Oh, you are? Oh my God!
There's no rest
Amazing.
for me. But it's going to be fun. Very, very excited to go, and I haven't been since like 2015, so I'm very excited to go back.
Well, now I'll be following your journey. You were following my LA journey. I'll now be following your Edinburgh journey.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God. Actually, no, I will have to message you off the chat because there are a few shows I saw at Hollywood Fringe who are going to Edinburgh. Anyway.
Oh, nice. Yeah, no, good, because I don't actually know where to start because there's so much.
Fair.
So, yes, any indication is always good.
I'll send you recommendations.
Good. Well, the big question I've been asking on the podcast is I'd love to know how you think the theatre industry has changed in recent years and how that has changed the work that you create and the work that you involve yourself in.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I think the big thing that comes to mind is the diversity conversation, which is a really big one. And there are definitely changes happening very slowly. We still got a long way to go. But I think like when I was kind of starting out, which was like, late, like 2014, that era, there wasn't any discussion about that. Like because I am Pasifika, but I have the skin tone of Snow White. So yeah, don't worry, I tan. So then people go, oh wow, yeah, maybe you are. But I always get like ethnically ambiguous.
Right.
And like for the longest time I was like, oh, like that's cool. Like, because I had an agent that'd be like, you get so many roles because you're ethnically ambiguous. Like they just don't know who you are. Right. And then realizing with the way this industry is turning, we're having those conversations, like that's actually really harmful to like say that. Because it's like, well, no, like this is who I am. Like this is my identity. Right. And I think in terms of like the work that I'm creating and that those conversations are opening up, I've become more confident in my own skin because I am at the intersection of many different identities. And I used to hide them before and kind of like conform to like what I think was, to be cast or what I had to create. So I had to write stories about X, Y, Z. Whereas I think now I'm a little more like, this is who I am. Like take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Cool. And so a lot of my work, I mean, even just the journey of Cherry in the Year, I think even that show's become more like, I've become more confident about it, even performing it and just being like, this is who I am. And like, if you don't like the Katy Perry bubblegum pop thing, like that's cool. Don't tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah, only if you like me. Yeah, don't say it to my face. But yeah, so I think, and the work that I kind of gravitate towards, I always make sure that's all accessible and putting diverse voices at the forefront because I think that should just be the norm. And hopefully one day we won't be specifically being like, oh, like diverse voices must apply. It's like, no, everyone, like that should just be a given.
Yeah.
They have space. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love that. Great answer. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Well, I'd love to wrap up with our 1-minute theatre thoughts questions, if you'd like.
I would love.
So essentially, it's just I'll ask you a bunch of different questions, roughly a minute, and it's like whatever comes off the top of your head first is what comes out, I guess.
Yes. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Cool. Alrighty. Here we go. What has been your favourite production you've seen recently?
Okay, so I'm going to say one from Hollywood Fringe, and it was called Sound Trip. Okay. Phenomenal. It was like an all-immersive experience, and you kind of listened to things through headphones. I want them to come to Fringe here in Australia. But in Australia, the last show I saw was Sex Magic.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard really good things about
that. That was a while ago. But I was like, oh, don't worry.
It counts.
I was away. It counts.
Yeah. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Oh, my God. Well, I Kissed a Girl, Katy Perry,
yes.
obviously. Or I'm a Slave for You, Britney Spears.
Oh, very good. What role haven't you played yet that you'd still want to?
Ooh. I would say, okay, it's The Play That Goes Wrong.
Oh, yes.
I'm obsessed with that show.
Yes.
I saw it on Broadway years ago. Anything in that show, please.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm manifesting.
Oh
please.
my God, I would join you right up there. It is probably my favorite play I've ever seen. I'm dying when I'm going to go back to London when I'm overseas, and I'm going to go see it again. It will be like the 4th or 5th time I've seen it. So
my God, I'm jealous because I've only seen it once and it's still stuck with me. It's perfection.
It
like
is.
Everything. Oh, anyways, yes, that would be my role.
As a second, next one, sorry, is which production would you most want to see come to Australia?
Ooh, Mean Girls.
Mean Girls, yeah. I saw that in 2018, I think.
Oh my God, so I was in New York as well, like when it kind of just first opened, and I could never get tickets.
Oh, really?
Like, I know, and now, like, I guess, whatever.
Yeah.
But, so I still haven't seen it.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll, like, it's got to be coming to here soon, like, surely.
It has to.
Yeah.
That or Hades Town.
Oh,
that's also a really...
Yes. Love it. Love it. And last one, this is like a bonus question. And I don't know if it's going to be challenging or not. What are your top 3 Katy Perry songs?
Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God. What have you done? And my brain is exploding. Okay. 1, I Kissed a Girl, obviously. 2, Unconditionally. And 3, it's Fingerprints, which no one knows. It was never a hit. It wasn't my show, like in the leaf blower moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, I think one of the most underrated songs, and it should have been a single, but that's how I'm a real fan.
Yeah, exactly. When you hit the obscure one in your top 3, and no, she's a fan, yeah.
She's a fan.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Sarah, for jumping on and talking about Cherry and Saturday Girls. Very excited. I don't know if I might just miss Saturday Girls, but I'm sure I'll get somebody to go see it.
Yes, well, damn.
That's okay.
Well,
other people can go see it
exactly
for me, and then they can tell me all about it.
It's true.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to see where your journey goes from here.
I'm back at you in the podcast. I'm so excited. It's very exciting.
A massive thank you goes out to Sarah Carroll for joining us as our guest and helping to organise today's episode. You can catch Saturday Girls at Belvoir's 25A from the 9th to the 27th of August 2023. Head to belvoir.com.au for tickets or follow the link in this episode's description. The Theatre Thoughts podcast will be taking a mid-season break while I'm over at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival covering all things fringe. You can follow the journey by clicking the link tree which has links to all of our social media. This episode was produced by Echidna Audio. Follow them on Instagram at Echidna Audio for all their audio services. Once again, if you enjoyed our podcast, leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts and head to the link in this episode's description for our Instagram account, TikTok, YouTube, and Patreon. My name's Justin Clark, and I'll see you next time here on the Theatre Thoughts podcast.
Have you ever wondered how your favorite performer actually feels? Well, here's your chance. Welcome to The Quiet Part Out Loud with me, Bobby Steggert, Broadway actor and now a therapist to a whole host of Broadway creatives. Part interview, part therapy, this is not your typical podcast. We'll go right to the heart of things with some of your favorite artists, what they still struggle with, what lessons they've learned, what they haven't figured out yet. There's enormous power in saying the quiet part out loud. Are you listening?
It's time for today's Lucky Land horoscope with Victoria Cash.
Life's gotten mundane, so shake up the daily routine and be adventurous with a trip to Lucky Land. You know what they say, your chance to win starts with a spin. So go to LuckyLandSlots.com to play over 100 social casino-style games for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Get lucky today at LuckyLandSlots.com.
Available to players in the U.S., excluding Washington and Michigan. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.